Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, D.J.R. Stewart. Welcome to Black Talk. Uh, it's a cold evening here in Texas. Gonna get colder here. We are prepared for this weekend. My wife went out and bought me some potatoes and some milk. I love milk. I go through at least 2 gallons of milk a week. Um, and when it gets really cold, it's nothing like a good potato to warm you up. Uh, I don't eat that many potatoes because it's not part of my carnivore diet. But every now and then I will allow myself to splurge, especially on a cold weekend. It's going to be cold this weekend. So as you see, I'm still in my cold weather gear here. This is a hoodie that my wife got me. It's fairly warm. So anyway, let's get on with our show. I got a couple of follow-ups before we get started with our main talking point for tonight. And so let me get some business out of the way. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel. It would really help me out. I'm trying to grow. I have another channel, a couple other channels. I do a Wednesday podcast called Black Man Speak. It's been doing it for years, since 2018 is when I started it. It hadn't gotten that much traction, and only about maybe 600 subscribers in 8 years. That's not a great deal. I have another channel, DJR Stewart, and I have about 6,000 subscribers and a bunch of videos. I don't put that much content out there on my personal channel, and just my personal stuff from taking pictures of reunions and any other things that I'm interested in. I still have more channel, more views, more videos, more subscribers than I do on my organized podcast, which is every Wednesday. And we do get a lot of visitors who watch the show after the fact, but live visitors has dropped off, and like I said, we just don't have that many subscribers for the show, but we do get quite a few views. But anyway, I'm trying to grow a new channel, Black Talk. It's just me. It's not. I don't have any co-hosts, so it's just my opinions, my views, my thoughts. I don't have to share them with anybody except you when I come out and do the show. But I don't have to get agreement on the topics from anyone. Like I do with Black Man Speak, I try to, even though it's my show, I started, I founded it. I could run roughshod over the other two co-hosts, but I tried to afford them some level of respect and dignity and create a cooperative where we kind of agree on what we're going to talk about and give them some input. And I don't want them to feel like I'm just put my foot on their neck and controlling everything, because they don't get paid to do it. I mean, they do it at the kindness of their heart because they love doing it. So, and I love doing it, but I don't always like the topics, and I certainly don't like the views of the two co-hosts. They're way too liberal for me. And one of the hosts is a socialist communist type, so Uncle Sar is very, very, very taxing on patience. But anyway, Black Talk is just me, my views, my thoughts, my opinions. And so if you will help me out, help me grow the channel, spread the word, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. So as you can see, we're on every Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Central Time. And let's get started. Let's hit the follow-ups. We got a big winter storm coming. This is January 22nd. Here this weekend, we got a big storm coming across America. So if you haven't already prepared, please go to the store and load up on groceries. Make sure you have enough. You have enough of everything that you need to survive for at least a week if you get snowed in. So I know how it is here in Texas when we get snowed in. People just lose their minds. So my wife went to the store and the stores are bare. There's very little on the shelves, and that's how it gets here. I mean, but it's better to have too much, have more than you need than not have enough and you need something. So, but anyway, the Stewart household here is prepared. We are ready. We have a freezer full of food. We have a refrigerator full of food. We have a deep freezer full of food. And my wife got me my potatoes. So I'm prepared. So we're ready. So anyway, let's get started. Follow-up stories. In the incident with the church in Minnesota, where Don Lemonhead and his gang of thugs invaded the church with their protests against ICE, I hear there were 3 arrests. I hear more coming, which is good. I hope that the people who were responsible for doing this stupid act have the book thrown at them. Yeah, I mean, you look at what happened with the January 6 people sitting in jail for 4 years, 5 years, just waiting to go to trial. They ain't even going to trial. They didn't sentenced for anything, but sitting in jail for years, waiting to go to trial. So I'm glad that President Trump, the Orange Man, gave all these people a pardon and let them get on with their lives. So I hope the legal system is just as harsh with these people in order to send a message. Because what Don Lemonhead and his thugs did is certainly more atrocious than some people trespassing on the Capitol. Okay, so the story tonight is I discovered in doing some research that the United States of America, that last year in the 2025 budget, I know we're in 2026, so JR, why are we talking about 2025? Okay, well, I'm going to get to that. In the 2025 budget, we actually gave and allocated $12.7 billion to go to African aid. $12.7 billion. I'm a veteran, a disabled veteran, and so I get these stats and these newsletters from the VA. One of the newsletters said that we could end homelessness for veterans for about $9 billion. $9 billion, we could pretty much wipe out homelessness for all the homeless veterans in America. And here we are spending $12.7 billion with Africa every year. I don't know what the numbers are for 2026 fiscal year, mainly because the budget's still being written. I don't know if they're going to get it done. I know three parts of it got done. 3 of the 12 appropriation bills have been done. That was done to end the shutdown last year. The other 9 are still being held up and worked. And so they may just do another continuing resolution, a CR, to finish funding for the rest of the year, which basically means that whatever you spent last year, they'll just spend that much this year plus a inflationary increase based on inflation. So if inflation was 4 or 5% last year, they'll just add another 4 or 5% to the budget and then just keep the numbers where they were last year. And everybody would just get a 4 or 5% inflationary increase, and then they'll go to doing what they're doing. I don't know why Congress has such a hard time getting 12 bills done. And that's all they do. Their primary job is to spend our money. And somehow every year they cannot get these 12 appropriation bills done. And I don't care who's in power. Republicans are control the House now, so I'm blaming them for it. Speaker Johnson, I know he's been trying, but man, come on, this is embarrassing. You're supposed to have this done by August, and y'all can never quite get it done. And we're still stuck on these continuing resolutions. The last appropriation bills that were passed were, they go back to the Biden days. We're still operating on Biden's budget. So it's embarrassing that you guys cannot get this done. So get it done. So anyway, $12.7 billion that goes to Africa every year. Since 1960, America, just America, has spent $1.7 trillion with a T, 1.7 trillion in aid to Africa. That's not to include all of the rice that we send there, all of the grain that we send there, the doctors, the nurses, the medicine, all that malaria medicine and other diseases that we treat. We send that there. That's our aid. Plus all of the private charities. These charities get money from our government. That's another. They come in different budgets. Some of them may come from the agricultural budget. Some may come from HUD. Some may come from the Defense Department. But we have charities that get money from the government also for Africa, and the people ourselves, the public, we contribute to these charities to help them, for food, for wells. That's another thing. Just in Nigeria alone, now, Nigeria is the richest, supposedly the richest country in Africa. Their all revenue is about $200 to $250 million a day, depending on the price of oil. Currently, where it sits now, it's about $200 million that comes in there. They pump about 3 million barrels a day. They used to pump more. The oil infrastructure is breaking down. They used to be number 5 on the list as far as oil production. Now they're number 10. But they're right there with the Kuwaitis, the Iranians, the United Arab Emirates, and which is, I think it's composed of 5 Emirates, 6. The Emirates are like states, but the largest one I believe is Dubai, the largest Emirates there in the UAE. But anyway, the amount of money coming into the Arab countries that have the same amount of oil revenue that Nigeria has, there's no comparison. These Arab countries are rich. They have clean cities. They have these tall buildings. They have these expansive projects that they're doing. And you don't ever hear about the Arabs not being able to feed their population. But Nigeria, $200 million a day, and somehow you can't feed your population. The Nigerians receive aid from America. We spend millions of dollars in aid to Nigeria. And one of the projects that we fund, only 30% of the people in Nigeria have running water. 30%. The other 70% have to get their water from wells. Who pays for those wells to be dug? We do. America does. To the tune of millions of dollars. Just to drill a hole in the ground, put some pipes in so people can pump water, have fresh drinking water. The population just continues to grow. 1965, population of Nigeria was about 53 million people. The population of England at the same time was 54 million people. Today, the population of England is about 58 million people. So they grew about 4 million people in 60 years. The population of Nigeria is 253 million people, a 400% increase in 60 years. And this is the richest country in Africa. They're the largest rice producer in Africa. They're the largest flour producer in Africa, but yet they can't feed their population. They have to buy rice, import rice from Asia. Now, the Asians are not as generous as Americans and Europeans are, Western Europeans, because we send them money, we send them food, we send them medicine, we send them doctors. What do the Asians do? Well, the Asians kind of sell them their surplus rice, their surplus grains at a discount. So they consider that to be aid because you don't have to pay full price for it. You don't have to pay regular price for it. Actually, even Ukraine, which is the breadbasket for Europe, sent a lot of grain to Africa. One of the concerns were that the people in Africa would starve to death if Putin actually attacked the grain fields, and somehow the Ukraine was not able to make those shipments. Why is a country so rich in resources? Now, we all know about the Sahara Desert in the north part of Africa. But the sub-Sahara Desert, sub-Sahara Africa, is everything south of the Sahara Desert. They have the land. They have fertile land. They have rain, and they have lots of sunlight. This is the most fertile land in the world. Hear what I'm saying. Africa, sub-Sahara Africa has the most fertile land in the world, but yet they can't grow, they can't set up farms to feed themselves. They sit back and they wait for the Europeans and for America on the threat of millions of people are going to starve to death. Children, i.e. children. That's how they get us. They tug on our emotional strings. Every one of those commercials you see asking you to send money to some charity so they could do something in Africa. They always show the children, flies in their face, starving, ribs showing. Nobody wants to see millions of children starve to death. But our current system of just giving money to Africa is not working. All you're doing is subsidizing bad decisions. The people there, they don't demand things from their government. You know, here in my little city of McKinney, Texas, me and my wife love our little city. And my wife is one of those that when things are not right, she don't mind letting people know. You know, let there be a pothole in the street that we have to run over, and the city doesn't come fix it. So she's one of those that will let the city know, hey, there's a pothole over there, and I'm messing up tires, suspension of my car, rolling over. So y'all need to do something about it. Let the sidewalks, you know, develop cracks and become uneven, and where you can't walk on them or you're tripping on them. And people in my subdivision will complain. They'll let the city know, you need to fix this. Generally when it gets too cold, like it is this weekend, sometimes the transformers, you know, flip out, we lose power. You know, the last great winter storm, we lost power for about a week. And the wife and I, with our dogs, I mean, we basically go to the library every day, hang out there. They have charging. We had an electric car back then. We could plug the electric car in. It had heated seats. So we spend the day there with our dogs, get a full charge, come back home, sleep in the car, once again, heated seats. And that's how we kind of, and then, you know, we would light fires in the fireplace, gathering there. We have to cook in the fireplace. A couple of nights, you know, it's like the Wild West, man. We got our cast iron skillet, and, you know, I can't remember what we cooked, but yeah, we had the cast iron skillet in the fireplace, man. When you're hungry and you're cold, any warm meal at that point is gonna warm your bones up. It becomes the best meal you ever had. So, but anyway, I digress. Let me get back to the point. The point is that the culture here in America, we have enough sense, most of us. Some people don't. But I think most people, suburban people, Republican people, conservatives, people who value decent quality of life, decent schools for their kids, have enough sense to complain when things are not right. We demand things from our government, city government, county government, state government, federal government. We have certain expectations that we expect to be met. If not, we complain or we vote you out of office. This is how we roll here in America. I know there are folks who say that America doesn't have culture, that we're just a bunch of mutts, melting pot made up of people from around the world, but we don't have culture. We don't have a language. No, we have the English language. I hear Africans say this all the time, that black people in America we lack culture because we don't have a tribe. You know, our culture has been taken from us. Our language has been taken from us. But you know what we have? We have enough sense to complain when things are not right. At least most of us do. Some of us do. I'm not even going to say most. Because actually most black folks in America are Democrats. And you guys know how I feel about black Democrats, white Democrats, yellow Democrats, red Democrats, doesn't matter. You know how I feel about Democrats, period. There's some stupid, ignorant people because they don't know how to vote their interests. But anyway, the folks in Africa are too tribal. Everything with them is about the tribe, not about the nation state. As I studied their history, how quick Africans are to identify with their tribe. I'm from the Obo tribe. I'm from the Zulu tribe. I'm from this tribe. I'm from that tribe. There's one country, a little small country in Africa, a population of 8 million people, about the size of Switzerland. Population about the same, except Switzerland's GDP is $250, $300 billion. Small country. Whereas this little country, same population, same size, their GDP about $100 million, $200 million. I mean, just ridiculously small. They have 40 different tribes in this small country. 40. And they speak 40 different languages. Not one language with 40 dialects. Here in America, we speak English primarily. The Orange Man made it the official language of America, so English is our official language. We have 12 dialects. Well, depending on who you ask. We have 12 dialects in America. But if you include Ebonics, then we have 13. But I don't care if you're from the Northeast with a heavy Boston accent, or you're from the South, where they speak a little slower and slur their words and pronounce. We can at least basically communicate with each other. But you have 40 different languages for 8 million people. How the hell you get together and do anything? I don't even know if the tribes even get along. In Nigeria, you have Muslims killing Christians, black folks killing black folks. I can't say too much about it because here in America, we have the same thing. Black folks killing black folks. Highest murder rate in the country. Black folks killing black folks. Worst neighborhoods in America. 8 of the poorest countries in the world are in Africa. The average African earns about $1.80 a day. $1.80. I could take $300 out of my pocket and give it to somebody each month, and they'd already be earning 5 times the poverty rate of Africa. Just on money I could pull out of my pocket. $1.80 a day. Folks talk about the wealth of Africa. It's in the ground. Do the Africans do anything to get the wealth out of the ground? No. No. If white folks, Europeans primarily, some Americans, some Arabs, now Asia and the Russians are getting into it, into the act. But if other people didn't come and set up mining companies to get the resources out of the ground, they'd still be in the ground. If America didn't send oil companies to Africa, they helped set up all the infrastructure, they helped drill, they'll all still be in the ground. And when you talk to African people, and those with this one Africa, Pan-Africanism, crazy folks, stupid folks, they always want to blame America for their problems. Colonization. Well, we were colonized, JR. And yes, you were colonized, so what? What nation in the world was not colonized? Everybody's been colonized by somebody in the world. Well, JR, we have slavery. Slavery? You still have slavery. That's how barbaric you are. Slavery still exists in Africa. But the Eastern Europeans had slavery. Western Europe had slavery. They just called it something different. It was just called it serfdom. Peasants. But you still, had to live on the land that was owned by a lord, report up to a noble system. All those folks are your masters. If you were not of nobility rank in Western Europe, you were nobody. You were a peasant. You were a serf. The word slave comes from Yugoslavia, Slav, because millions of them were just as enslaved as Africans were. The Arab raiders would go to Eastern Europe and enslave white folks. But I guarantee you, the poorest country, the poorest city in the Eastern Bloc of Europe, it still had better living conditions than the best city in Africa. The poorest country in Eastern Europe, that's East or West, Eastern Europe is a lot poorer than Western Europe. The Baltic regions, Yugoslavia, they've been broken up into several. Croatia, find me wherever the poorest country in Eastern Europe is. Romania, still have a better living condition. They were all occupied by the Russians, by the Chinese. The Chinese were dominating Russia and occupied by the Japanese. The Koreans were dominated by the Japanese. The Philippines were dominated by the Japanese. It was like ping pong ball between the Japanese and the Chinese. All that eastern region, Far East Asia, was occupied by somebody. Even the Mongols from Tibet, Genghis Khan, he conquered all of Eastern Asia and part of Eastern Europe. He was finally defeated in what we call Libya now, Northern Africa, by the Romans. But until then, he controlled most of the known world, all occupied. Study your history. This excuse about colonization is just that, an excuse. And I'm going to tell you firsthand, excuses are tools of the incompetent. They build monuments to nowhere. This is all you hear out of Africa. This is all you hear from the Pan-African movement. Those folks who, talk about supporting the motherland, but don't want to live there. Now they talk all that talk because we have freedom of speech here, and they can. Well, if you were to give them a one-way pass to Africa and tell them to renounce their citizenship, turn over their passport, and don't come back, they wouldn't take the deal. Because somehow running water, sewage, trash pickup, stores that you can go shop in, place a job to go work and earn money. All those things become very important when you don't have them. $12.7 billion plus medicine, plus grain, plus rice, plus doctors, nurses. Nigeria has some of the best medical schools in the world. And they have a shortage of doctors and nurses. Just last summer, I had to have surgery. I was in a VA hospital in Dallas. Most of my nurses were from Ethiopia and Nigeria. Why in the world is Africa exporting doctors and nurses from Nigeria and Ethiopia when Africa needs doctors and nurses? We have to send mercy ships to Africa to perform surgeries and provide care. When Ebola broke out, malaria breaks, it's American doctors there that are vaccinating people. They're trying to vaccinate as many people as possible. Our drugs, our money, our effort, our resources. Do the African nations pay us back for any of that? No. What do we get for our effort? We get blamed for their problems. Of the 12 million slaves that somehow survived the Middle Passage, estimates are that as many as 20 million didn't. They were thrown into the ocean, the sharks ate them. and only 600,000 of those folks made it to the United States of America. Most of the slaves ended up in the Caribbean, the Caribbean, Central and South America, Brazil. That's where most of the corn, not corn, but the sugar was grown. Cuba, Mexico. I mean, we had cotton, but we had tobacco. Those are important crops. With sugar, I mean, not everybody smoked. Not everybody could afford clothes. With sugar, everybody could eat sugar. But despite that, and so now Africa is totally in control by black people. You run all the white people off. You said they were oppressing you. You had apartheid in South Africa, where the white folks didn't wanted to split off from you. They want to mix with you. They didn't stop you from doing what you wanted to do. They just took some land and carved out their piece and developed it. South Africa was on its way to pretty much being another Europe. It was the most developed area, it still is, in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, but now, since Nelson Mandela was free, he became president, black folks have been running South Africa. They're running into the ground. South Africa now has to import food. When white folks ran your farms, you had enough food to feed yourself. You, in fact, had a surplus. You ship food throughout Africa. Now you can't even grow enough food to feed your population. Streets are falling apart. Crime, poverty, everywhere. The infrastructure. They have frequent brownouts. You can't even keep the lights on or the water stations pumping. You were handed a fairly developed country, handed to you. And since black folks have been in control of, they just run into the ground. Now they're crying for economic investments. South Africa used to be a nice place that people wanted to invest in because you can make money there. They had infrastructure. They had low crime. You could ship stuff from port to the sea to the factories. Now the streets are falling apart. Crime is high. Power is not even steady. Not steady. You can't keep the lights on. Who's going to want to invest their money in that rat hole? So I hear they've set up these special commissions, special business districts that are in white control. Like, hey, look, the rest of the world. We've gathered some white people. We're going to put them in control of this area. So we're going to make sure that it's well run because they're in control of it. So it's safe to come back now. What does it say that you have to turn to the very people that you say were oppressing you in order to have a decent city? I mean, you look at the decent areas of Africa, the Seychelles, Northern Africa, some of the islands off Africa are pretty much Asian. Northern Africa is mostly the Arabs who run it. The 5 wealthiest groups in Africa, and not one of those ethnic groups are black. But yet, they're okay with military coups, killing their dictators. One warlord takes out the dictator and he becomes a dictator. They try to have elections, but then somebody from the military comes in with his soldiers and just take over. Either exile the leader or they kill him or arrest him. And guess what happens to that dictator? Nothing. The people just accept it. Oh, Colonel Boo Boo is in charge now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, he was killed yesterday. Now we got Captain So and So took over. And because tribe is everything in Africa, whichever tribe the leader comes from, his friends, his family, their tribe benefits. Their status is uplifted. They get to take advantage of everything. Whatever money they have coming in, they get the siphon off the top. There's nothing left for the everyday people. They don't take their enormous wealth or aid that's coming in and build schools, hospitals, build roads. No, they don't have time for that. They're buying luxury cars. They're buying property around the world. They're sending their kids to good schools. And life is good as long as their dictator's in charge. Since another dictator takes over, who's from a different tribe, now that tribe lives large. But the people who've stolen the money, they've already hopped the plane and gotten out with their wealth. This is the life of Africa. This is the life that we subsidize in Africa. $12.7 billion. I don't want to be cruel. I don't want kids to starve. But some tough love is needed now. If you truly love and want to see Africa come up, then we have to start demanding that they do the right thing. And every time someone reflects on them, the Orange Man. Nigeria gets over $100 million a year from us. The Orange Man had threatened to cut them off. What was the issue? Oh, 25 girls from private school were kidnapped a few months back. Back when Obama was the president, that number was 250 girls. They never found those girls. They're sold off to slavery. I can't even imagine the horrors of what those young ladies are going through. Killed, raped. So when it happened under the Orange Man's watch, he said, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Why isn't the government doing something to get those girls back? Oh, well, Mr. President, you see, they were kidnapped by Muslims and they were Catholics. So what? I brought this up on my talk show, Black Men Speak, which is every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time. And this is how idiotic my host could be sometimes, other hosts. The response was, and I brought this up, that our president brought attention to the fact that these girls were kidnapped and nobody was doing anything in Nigeria. Oh, you act like the Trump loves Africans. He don't love Africa. What does love got to do with anything? So what? Whether he love them or not, so what? Because he don't love Africans means that he can't talk about the fact that the Nigerian government is doing nothing to get those girls back. Those 25 young ladies have mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, have loved ones and friends. They're just supposed to just give up their life. Nobody give a damn about trying to get them back. And the one person, President of the United States, we got to threaten Nigeria with cutting off their aid to get them to do the right thing towards their own people? Well, once Trump told him that, yeah, you won't get another dime from us if you don't do something about this. Now all of a sudden they got a military force together and got the girls back. Then he had to flex on a second time over the Christians. The Nigerian Muslims were killing the Nigerian Christians, slaughtering them. The government sitting back doing nothing. Once again, You don't put a stop to this, we're going to cut off aid to you. And this is the richest country in Africa. $200+ million a day. Can't feed themselves. Don't have enough doctors, don't have enough nurses, can't develop drugs for themselves. Where's the invention? Where's the research? Why aren't you developing your own medicine? You've been dying from these diseases tens of thousands of years. Never occurred to you that maybe, just maybe, you want to develop your own vaccines against malaria, against these other diseases that are only found in your continent? That maybe you want to incentivize farmers to grow enough food. You have the greatest land in the world. In the world. You have the rainwater, you have the sunlight, you have the nutrients in the soil. You don't need fertilizer from Africa, from Russia. You have the most fertile land in the world. And you can't grow food to feed yourself? Do you see why Western Europeans look at your back-ass country and figure that you guys are heathens? Animals? You can't step up to the plate and do the right thing for your own self-interest. If we don't govern you, nothing will get done. You'll always be ass backwards. I hate to say it. I'm a black person. My ancestors are from Africa. I don't feel any connection to Africa. I'm American now. I have no connection to Africa. We may share pigmentation, that's about it. I don't speak your language. I'm not part of your culture. And if I had to live in Africa, I wouldn't put up with the crap that y'all put up with. That's why you couldn't pay me enough to live in that backwards-ass continent. Even if I'm living large, just being around that much poverty and that much ignorance would bother me. I don't have a complex where I need to feel like I'm superior to another human being to feel good. That's the white liberal. Those are the white folks in Africa, living large, surrounded by all that poverty, all those poor black people, feeling that we got to be here to take care of them, to guide them. We got to be here to keep folks from taking advantage of them. We got to be their protectors. We got to tell them what to do. Because that makes them feel superior. That makes them feel good. The poor African people. Same thing happens here in America. That white liberal, socialist, progressive, communist, Marxist, Democrat, this is why they keep the schools poor in the inner cities. Black schools are some of the worst schools. They're not that much better than the schools in Africa. Just a little, un poco. Economic conditions, terrible in the inner cities, in the black areas. But what do they all have in common? They're run by Democrats. School boards, run by Democrats. City council, mayors, run by Democrats. And they run these cities into the ground. They run these districts into the ground. So much so that people fight to get out of these areas and move to where? They move to an area that's run by Republicans. Unfortunately, they bring their skank politics with them sometimes, not realizing that the hellhole that you just escaped, you're trying to bring that to the rest of us. I don't know what it is about my people here in America and globally that we come out somehow don't seem motivated to fix things up, to build things. It wasn't always this way. After slavery, black folks did some really great things. Developed little townships, developed banks, commerce. They were doing well. All that got destroyed by the white liberal. We know about Rosewood. We know about Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. But if you do your research, you'll find out there wasn't just Rosewood in Florida and Greenwood in Oklahoma. It was hundreds of these little towns around America where folks were doing well. But doing well and taking care of yourself, the white liberals said, these black folks are getting uppity. They're getting out of their lane. They have to be taught a lesson. They'll be put back in their place. And after they destroy everything that you made good, and they cozy up on the side of you and say, we got to protect you. We got to look out for you. We got to protect you from that orange man. We got to protect you from MAGA, from those racist conservatives, those Republicans. Hillary Clinton, they going to put y'all back in chains. Wait a minute, put you back in... Your party was a party of slavery. But somehow Republicans are going to put you back in chains. We're the party of freedom that fought in the Civil War to free and end slavery. Well, it wasn't just us. The Brits, the United Kingdom, the royals, the king, I don't know if it was a king or queen at that time, but then when they decided to end slavery, they took 20% of their wealth. They just bought the freedom in all their territories, all the country they controlled. If you owned a slave, they paid you for it to free that slave. 20% of their national wealth went to freeing the slave. Here in America, we fought a civil war to end slavery. And then the United States and the Brits joined forces, sent our ships to Africa. We patrolled the entire continent of Africa, all the way around, from Gibraltar on the east side to Gibraltar on the west side, in the slave trade. At great expense to both our countries. Anybody ever thank us for doing that? No. We still get blamed for slavery. Still get blamed for colonization. But that colonization brought you your roads. The few roads that you have were put there because of colonization. The railroads, same thing. The airports, the buildings. All put there by Europeans and Americans, white folks. You didn't build any of it. And since you've been in charge of Africa for the last 60, 70 years, you still haven't done anything. But we're running into the ground. Tough love is what we need. It's starting to happen here in America because white guilt is starting to fade. It used to be a time that you can call someone racist. A black person call a white person racist and shut them up. Get them to stop. Make them do something. Give money to your organization by calling them racist. Now, white folks are starting to not care about being called racist. In fact, it's a badge of honor now. If you're not being called a racist by white liberals and silly black folks, they're minions, then you're doing something wrong. Tough love. If we get rid of white guilt in America, black folks will be forced to step up to the plate. Daddies will start staying at home, raising their children. We've gone from 90% of black kids, and actually 94% of black kids before 1960. We're in a house with a mother and a father. I don't know if they were married. Sometimes, people just signed up, put their name in the Bible. Sometimes they just jumped the broom. They didn't have a marriage license, but mother and father in the household. That white liberal comes along, takes the father out of the household, put the mother on welfare. I'm your new father. I'm your new daddy. At that time, you had a small percentage of women who had children under wedlock. Like I said, you had mothers and fathers in the household till the white liberal came along. Now 77% of black kids are in a home with a single parent. Most of those are women. the cowardly men, these Democrats, mostly liberals, black liberal. This is what liberalism does to you. Because black conservatives that I know, white conservatives, Asian conservatives, Hispanic conservatives, they believe in strong family. They're at home with their kids. They help them do homework. They stand on top of theirs. But those liberals, Democrats, no, it's okay to just pop out babies that you're not taking care of, you're not raising. Just like the folks in Africa, just having babies. Population 1.5 billion and growing. I already told you about the population growth in Nigeria in just 60 years, 40% increase. And they can't feed their population. Still, I mean, they're all in infrastructure falling apart. They are begging the United States, Russia, China, anybody to come in and fix their infrastructure up. The only reason the Chinese and the Russians don't have a bigger foothold in Nigeria is because America is threatening to cut them off if they do. The African people, black people from around the world, have to start learning to do for themselves. Build your own houses, build your own communities, build your own economic infrastructure. There's communism, socialism, collective, you call it whatever you want. Tribalism has to go. It's not serving you well. The tribe cannot be responsible for everybody in the tribe, like it is now. No personal accountability, no personal responsibility. Just go out there, have a good time, pop out all the babies that you want. You don't have to worry about feeding them. That's somebody else's responsibility. That's the tribe's responsibility. When the tribe can't do it, oh well, white guilt. You know, Europeans, y'all colonized us. That's why we can't, that's why we're in the problem, in the shape that we're in now. You know, America, y'all had slavery. That's why we're in the shape that we're in now. But those white guilt tanks are running low. Because people now are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, I had nothing to do with slavery. I had nothing to do with Jim Crow. I didn't discriminate against you. I didn't do anything to keep you down. Why do I have to pay or feel responsible for your problems now? And when they're struggling to try to come up, they're not trying to hear that, well, your grandparents and great grandparents, you know, they stole from the rest of us and gave you your head start. A lot of them didn't get a head start. They weren't born with a spoon in their mouth. They're out there hustling too, trying to pay bills and come up. I don't know what else to say other than white people have no reason to feel guilty about the past. History is history. Every nation has checkered history, dark past. We have ours. We can certainly talk about it. We can learn from it. But nobody living today was around the 1800s, before 1865, when we had slavery. Nobody today was around when the Jim Crow laws were passed, the pig laws, the black codes. We should be proud of how far we've come. But now it's time for some personal responsibility for people to step up and take care of themselves, take care of your problems. The expression, mind your business, used to be a good phrase in the early 1900s. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Doing okay. What are you up to? I'm minding my business. It wasn't a derogatory term. It wasn't anything bad. It just meant, hey, I'm trying to be responsible. I'm trying to take care of mine. When the person said I'm minding my business, the response was I'm minding mine also. So you take care of yourself. I'm taking care of myself. I'm not asking you for anything. You don't have to come ask me for anything. We are both taking care of our business. But now, someone asks how you doing, you say, I'm minding my business. They may be ready to fight. They may feel that you just insulted them. I was just trying to be nice here. You got smart with me. Flip it. You don't have to. Why'd you say that? Because it's true. That's what I'm doing. I'm minding my business. I'm taking care of my family. I'm working, paying my bills. That's my business. And I'm minding. It has nothing to do with you. Why would me taking care of me be an insult to you? This is how warped American society has become. Mainly because they're white liberal. So I need to kind of wind things down. So what are our takeaways here for tonight? The takeaway is white people need to stop feeling guilty about the past that you had nothing to do with. Your color, my color, our color doesn't bound us to the past. What our ancestors did, who may have had the same pigmentation as us, was on them. We can look back and learn from that. We can continue to work towards a more perfect society, for a more perfect union. That's one of the greatest things about America. We have a chance to transform our country, change our laws, adopt new ways, which is what we do. We are the melting pot of the world. Just like America sports population from all over the world, all races, all religious backgrounds, all ethnic groups. There aren't that many countries that can say the same. And we're better for it. We're a better nation for it. We've learned to get along with each other. At least we're still learning. There's still some ignorant white folks out there, ignorant black folks, who still want to make race an issue. But for the rest of us with good sense, mainly Republicans, conservatives, decent people, and we're all just trying to survive, get along, live a peaceful life. We don't have time for the nonsense. But I'm going to end on this last little bit of advice for dark people, black people around the world. Start minding your business. Start taking care of yours. Build your communities. Take care of what you have. Encourage your neighbors to take care of what they have. You don't necessarily have to wait for white people to come fix things for you. You can do this yourself. You can feed yourself. You can educate your children. You become part of the global economy. The world is changing. Either you're going to ride the wave, you don't want to get too far in front of the wave because it may crush you, but you don't want to be behind the wave and get left behind. Anyway, that's my show. I will be back tomorrow. This is our first week. And so Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Central Time. It's on the bottom here. And we will have a fresh lineup next week. We're going to cover some health stuff with the carnivore diet. We're going to cover some economic activities, current events. And I will give you updates on whatever the current news is. Once I get all of the ins and outs about the what happened with the framework that we agreed to with Denmark, it sounds like it was pretty much the same agreement we had from 1951. But I'm going to get the details, and I will probably give an update next week. But we will have a really nice, diverse lineup next week. Politics, social media, civic lessons, just a little bit of everything. Health, nutrition. So it's pretty much whatever catches my interest. And who knows? I may even do some science. Talk about a little bit of astronomy and string theory and and gravity. Gravity is the holy grail of astrophysics today. So we'll see how I feel this weekend when I put the lineup together. Anyway, I appreciate everyone tuning into my show. Please spread the word, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and please, please, please share this link with others and help spread the word. Thank you so much.